Hi, welcome Eugene Hernandez, Director of Sundance Film Festival, and Kim Yutani, Director of Programming at Sundance. Thank you for joining me here today.
Thanks, Tracy. Hi.
Hi there. Well, I want to begin by just going to you, Eugene, and asking you if there are any kind of overarching themes or events that are planned for the festival, which kicks off in January.
Well, it starts bigger picture. The big event itself is the festival in person in Utah. For us, it's a big deal to start there because for a couple of years the festival was exclusively online, and last year was a hybrid return. This year we're really emphasizing and focusing on and really celebrating the fact that we can be together for this festival, January 18th through 28th in Utah, both in Park City and in Salt Lake, and to have that opportunity for discovery, for premieres, for I think Sundance always kind of starts the year, sets the calendar, and will lay the foundation for what I think. Based on what we've seen so far and what we can show you very soon,
Yeah.
is going to be a terrific start to a new year, and I think will unveil some really exciting, bold work for audiences very soon.
Yeah, can't wait to see all that. And for you, Kim, as director of programming, and you've been with Sundance for quite a while now, can you speak to any kind of larger themes or storytelling that you looked at this year that was, perhaps in a new direction, or, just some outstanding sort of themes for the content?
Um, yeah, thanks for having us, Tracy.
Course.
We, I think, as we approach each year, we have to approach the submissions, the large submission amount of submissions we get, with an open mind. I think we are always looking for bold stories, new filmmakers, uh, stories that are being explored in ways that we haven't necessarily seen before. And um, but I think at its core, because Sundance is a festival of discovery, that we're looking for talent, and we're the place where um, audiences come and look to discover the new filmmakers. Like, who is the next Todd Haynes? Who's the next,
Yeah.
Iraqi? And I think that that's one of the uh, things that we're most excited about this year is we have so many first time feature filmmakers
Mm.
in this year's program, and just that element of, who knows who's going to be discovered at this year's festival. I think that there's we are ripe terrain for that.
I love that. Well, thank you. And since you kind of did a call out to Greg and Todd, I want to just ask you, because Sundance has long historically been such a place that is rife for LGBTQ plus storytelling, especially with, kind of new queer cinema being really forged there. And Eugene, would you talk about what it means to you to be just a part of that history of this organization?
Well, on a personal note, it's deeply meaningful because I'm in my first year leading the festival, but I've been attending and participating in the festival for, this will be my 30th time. So for 30 years, this festival has really shaped and continues to shape my understanding of not only queer representation but of queer artistry,
Mm.
right? So you look back at like um, where our stories were in the 80s and 90s. It was the early work of this festival. Kim mentions Todd Haynes and Greg Araki. You can certainly look at a film like Paris is Burning, which I really responded to in the early 90s, or even Times of Harvey Milk from the mid 80s, from the first Sundance Festival. It has this, Sundance has this history and legacy and foundation in queer discovery, and that's something that, um, to your point, I take very seriously because it's so meaningful to me. And then when you look at the program um, that we have and that we're able to showcase this year, um, we are as bold and adventurous and as exciting um, in upcoming 2024 as we were when this festival began 40 years ago.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for that. And Kim, I think for a lot of folks, I don't know that a lot of folks really understand the how film festivals can really contribute to the culture in a larger way. And would you share a little bit about how Sundance in particular functions in getting LGBTQ plus stories told? You know, because they're there, and then if people, if you program them and people latch onto them, then they could get distribution, and so it's such a foundational piece. So would you talk a little bit about how that functions?
Yeah, I mean, I think Sundance is in a very, it's in a unique position to support um, artists whose work has not seen uh, larger audiences yet. And I think that the idea that so much of the industry is focused on the work we show and who is making this work. Um, some of these films will uh, either come in with distribution or they will get distribution. Um, Ideally, and then other films, you know, this is just to say that every film has its own path, and I
Mm.
think that artists each have their own paths. And one of the opportunities that I see happening at Sundance is that the the film industry is looking for talent, and so much of that talent is behind a lot of these queer films. And um, the idea that you can get representation because an agent has seen your short film or your next film, the film in our next section, that maybe would not have normally, that it hasn't seen kind of a traditional path to an audience. I think that Sundance is a place um, of discovery, and that's why people come to Sundance, and to have these conversations that our films spark.
Yeah, wonderful. Well, and speaking of discovery, Eugene, what are some of the LGBTQ plus titles that folks may discover at Sundance and that you are excited about?
I'll start with one that came to mind. There's a bunch of different directions we can go, and
Yeah.
we can certainly go back and forth and share a few with you.
Yeah.
The one that comes to mind immediately as I was just sitting here thinking about what Kim was saying, and I was really struck by Layla, film
Mm-hmm.
that's in our dramatic competition, our World Cinema Dramatic Competition. And we were able to meet, or I was able to meet Amru Al-Qadi, and Kim was there as well. We were in London at Sundance London last summer and hadn't seen the film yet. I was a little bit familiar with Amru's work. We'd never met in person. And hearing the story of Layla and this exploration of a struggling Arab drag queen who falls in love and is navigating how to hold on to their identity and also navigate this new relationship. Um, Hearing about it was one thing. Finally able to see it later in the summer and to have such a strong, excited, personal reaction, I just was like, "Wow, this film really delivers on everything that hearing about it kind of conjured and that I imagined it might be." And then it goes so much further. And I think Amr Al Khadi is just a perfect example of the kind of discovery that Sundance can be such a great platform for. To Kim's point, like I think it's someone who's already on a really exciting artistic journey and moving into this next stage of their creativity with this film, and to be able to showcase it for an audience, I think is just going to be a really exciting moment and one of the real standout moments of the festival.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for that. And then how about for you, Kim? Would you share a title or two that you
Uh-huh.
are excited about? I mean, you're excited about all of them. You're the programmer,
Yeah.
but
It's almost unfair to ask me that question, Tracy,
I
but,
know.
I mean, I think the one film that a lot of people are really fixated on right now is Love Lies Bleeding,
I'm
which is
fixated on it, of course.
you know, this is just an incredible film by Rose Glass with performances like no other by Kristen Stewart and Katie O'Brien.
Mm.
It's just it. We keep telling people this film is not for the faint of heart, and that is uh, consider yourself warned. But this is just an outstanding film. I think also one of the things that is exciting to me this year is just sort of the looking at trans representation through our program. I think that there's um, a really sophisticated, diverse group of films that deal with trans subject matter and trans themes. Like you look at a film like Stress Positions that's in our U.S. dramatic competition by Theta Hamill, who is an exciting new talent. And you know, this is a film set during the pandemic, takes us back to the pandemic days, and it's kind of this madcap um, comedy that is looking at you know a kind of your chosen family within this brownstone in Brooklyn. It's a really fun one, and then you look at something like Desire Lines, which is in our next section, by Jules Roscom. And this is a film that looks at trans masculinity as we have not really seen represented on screen before. And it's such an exciting film to come across this year as you see sexuality like just uh, talked about in a way that I think will be a real revelation.